that I have a second channel now, UX Titan. Be sure to subscribe because I'll do my Naruto what ifs alongside basically every other anime, really. Not every other anime, but basically I will do Naruto what ifs, Black Clover what ifs, One Piece what ifs. Basically anything that isn't My Hero Academia over on this channel. So if you want, just be sure to subscribe to this channel. Like, I will have more interesting content to come on this channel. Just be sure to subscribe to this channel, click the notification bell, share these videos, all that good stuff. King next out. I say that, but yeah. Play the intro. What is happening, Titan Clan? It is your boy, King Titan X here, back with another video. And as you guys can clearly see from like the title, I'm not sure how I'm going to title this. Anyways, basically, this what if is going to be about if Deku was the twin brother of Raven from Teen Titans. Oh, and considering he would be the twin brother of Raven, that also means that he is one of the sons of Trigon. Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting what if. Basically, I would say that they have a pretty similar origin. And when I say pretty similar origin, I'm more referring to with Raven. Basically, their mother ended up running away, joined a cult, summoned Trigon, and ended up getting impregnated by Trigon. Of course, they would end up, retreating to an alternate dimension called Azarath, where they were trying to tame their emotions, basically trying to suppress their emotions. I'm turning off this music. Basically trying to suppress their emotions. And it worked for Raven, but not so much for Deku, honestly. Instead, this just actually made it worse. They realized that he was getting too difficult to control, so they ended up sending him back to Earth. But here's the issue. This was not the same Earth. As a matter of fact, this was a completely different Earth. This was an Earth where people had these strange powers called quirks for some reason. It seemed to be dominant for whatever reason. What do I mean by this? Basically, 80% of the population seemed to have powers, while 20% didn't, which was interesting, to say the least. I would say that Azuku is 4 years old here. He does not look the same as in canon. I would say that he has completely black hair and pale skin, like his sister, along with red eyes. But no, as a matter of fact, I'm keeping the green eyes. Where was I? Oh yeah, I was basically describing Izuku's appearance. And just forget everything that I had just said. Basically, just imagine that Deku does have like black hair and paler skin than in canon. He would still retain the same green eyes like in canon though. The only thing here is that, well, this black hair of his also has some tips that are white. This would symbolize This would basically symbolize the amount of power that Deku has in relation to his father, being Trigon. And Deku would actually take more after his father in appearance over the years. Of course, Izuku is 4 years old right now, so here's how things would go. Izuku is not that strong. Izuku is quick to have a temper tantrum. He is quick to violence, honestly. And for the first couple of months, that was what caused a lot of attention to get onto Izuku. He would basically get into a lot of fights. He would end up getting into a lot of fights with these gangs. Next thing you know, he was fighting Yakuza. The reason why he was fighting Yakuza members were because they looked at him the wrong way. He wasn't really aware of everything that was happening in this world. Like, he was just placed into this world. He didn't know the rules, the customs, none of that. Of course, when he fought these Yakuza members, like, his physical strength was not on par with these guys. As a matter of fact, they were dominating against him. Like, he was getting crushed, to be honest. What ended up happening instead was that, well, I don't know how to say it. Basically, the authorities would eventually catch the Yakuza members and arrest them for basically child abuse. Izuku was also taken into custody. When they try and take a DNA scan and find his parents, they end up coming up with nothing. They find this to be odd, but they just assume that Izuku's parents are dead and that he doesn't have any close relatives. So they end up putting him into foster care. Obviously, just going by that, things don't go well at all. What ends up happening is that he will get picked on for the way that he looks. He will get picked on for the way he looks, the way his skin is just so pale. In comparison to other people, it's kind of sickly pale, to be honest, almost gray, to be honest. What also bothers these kids is the way his hair is. Like, the way it just seems to switch from black and white. Like, come on, dude. Just pick one. Like, at least I would be like, oh, like one side of your hair is white and the other side is black. That would be okay with them, but no. It's like one day, oh, Izuku's hair is mainly white. Another day, Izuku's hair is mainly black. Like, make up your mind, dude. So they would pick on him for his weird hair, his weird eyes, his weird skin. I would even say that Izuku would just feed into the negative emotions. He he would hate this foster care. He would hate the bullies. He would hate everything about these kids. He would just want to be free. He just wanted power. He was tired of getting picked on. Like, the whole reason why he ended up getting moved out to that dimension, he was taken away from his sister. The whole reason for that being because of his attitude for whatever reason, but he found that his attitude was fine. It was the people. He could tell that they were trying to control him. He hated being controlled. He hated getting picked on. One day, he just couldn't take it anymore and just released all of his negative emotions on them, on these bullies. I would say that Izuku is actually 6 around this time. The way that it is released is basically through pyrokinesis, seeing as that's actually one of Trigon's powers. Basically, hellfire, really. Obviously, it is much hotter than regular fire. It actually burns a lot of these kids to the point where there is no coming back from these burn marks. Actually, and some of them would even lose some of their limbs because of Izuku's hellfire. That's how hot Izuku's hellfire is. And obviously, Deku's fire would be. Deku's fire would also cause Izuku's hair to become more white. What do I mean by this? I said before that the way Izuku's hair is, it would also be in relation to his father. Like, the more white his hair is, that means the more power that he has at the time. That's basically how I'm going to justify it. Of course, when his caretakers see what happened, they immediately panic, seeing all of these injured kids. Some of these kids are dying because of Izuku, because of what Izuku did to them, because of his pyrokinesis. They assume it was they assumed that he was a late bloomer, but at the same time, the way that he just awakened his quirk was just so terrible. One of the worst ways possible for him to awaken his quirk. So they had to let go of him. They couldn't afford to have such a risk within their foster care. They would basically throw Izuku out of their foster care. They would drop him in the forest and hoping that he would survive. They felt bad for a little kid, but they he was just too much of a liability, to be honest. Being able to awaken such powerful flames was impressive, but at the same time, that was incredibly dangerous. Like, they saw what happened back there. They, I just keep on repeating this because of just how terrible this was. Azuku just despises them though. He uh, he's not weak though. As months would go by, Azuku would try and train this power of his, this pyrokinesis, trying to figure out just what he can do with it. What he ends up finding out is that, yeah, sure he has pyrokinesis, but it's not like you can just use it from his hands. He can seemingly speak. He can basically spew from his mouth. Like, he basically has fire breath, essentially. Hell fire breath. He's also able to use his hands and create fire projectiles. He's also able to. He doesn't even have to touch a surface in order to cause fire to erupt. He can just be standing and create like a fiery aura around himself, which will cause the ground to erupt in fire as well, which Izuku finds to be pretty interesting. Izuku is actually pretty smart. He's very intelligent for a 6-year old, and he's able to actually survive very well in the wild to the point where nobody even realizes that Izuku is living by himself in the wild. That's crazy. Izuku is obviously strong. He also seems to have like this very weird connection to negative emotions. He just seems to feed on them for whatever reason. He just seems to get stronger every day when he thinks of negativity in the world. He just continues to feed on this negativity. And one day, he is just looking around the forest. He finds some food. He finds like a carcass some some animal, like a deer, and it's basically surrounded by wolves. Azuku feels his stomach growl, and he doesn't even bother trying to really, approach these wolves. He has an interest. He wants to eat the deer. he wants to reach out for it and just grab it. All of a sudden, it just comes flying towards him. Izuku uses his fire in order to roast the deer, and the wolves look at him in anger because, well, the boy just took their meal. Izuku burns them alive as well. Of course, with all of this commotion happening, this actually gets the attention of the authorities. They actually find Deku and bring him back into police custody. When they find out what happened with him, they realize, okay, so he can't live in an he can't live in an orphanage. No, no, his powers are way too dangerous for that. So you know what happens instead? He ends up going to live with one of the heroes who know how to, manage fire quirks. They don't know anything about his telekinesis though, or any of his other abilities. That will soon come. What ends up happening is that Endeavor actually takes an interest in Deku due to just how powerful his flames are. He sees that he could actually raise this boy as his own, basically turn him into his next project for someone who would be able to, defeat All Might, basically able to usurp All Might, take over the number one spot. Obviously, he still has his eyes on Shoto, but if Shoto refuses to ever use his fire side, he would at least have somebody else. He would at least have a backup plan. That backup plan being Izuku. He would take Izuku in and actually raise him as his own. He actually reminds him of his son. He actually reminds him of his late son Toya. Or, yeah, I believe that's how you pronounce his name. He actually reminds him of his late son Toya. He had actually pushed the boy too far, and that actually caused him to die. He still regretted his actions, but he wanted to test the water works with this boy. This boy already seemed very powerful. His flames rivaled his own. No, scratch that. They were way more powerful than his own. They seemed to just come from a different source entirely. This boy was shooting fire out of his mouth, being able to create a whole fiery aura that can literally spread to the rest of the ground. I mean, Endeavor would like to say that he's strong, but this boy was just on a whole nother level. He has never been able to use his flames to such an extent to where they're able to just spread that far. I mean, the man is literally covered in fire every single day, and he never seems to be able to, create such damage, create such powerful moves. Izuku at 6 years old is doing that. He's already doing better than Endeavor ever did throughout his whole hero career. He's impressed by this generation. What also impresses Endeavor later on is Izuku's continuous growth. He also seems to have like some sort of telekinesis, so he assumes that he has like a pyro telekinetic quirk, sort of like a half and half quirk, like his son, like his son Shoto. He would become even more interested in Izuku because of that, and the fact that Izuku just doesn't seem to have any limits. As a matter of fact, Izuku every day just seems to be stronger than he was before. The reason for this being because Izuku feeds on negative emotions. That's practically how he lives. He doesn't need to feed on anything else but negative emotions. That would sustain him honestly. like he just continues to get stronger from these negative emotions, and considering the environment he's living in, he gets an abundant amount of it. This is an abusive household. Of course he would of course there would be a lot of negative emotions going around. This was basically like heaven for Izuku. This was like a feast for him. He would continue to feed on these negative emotions, continue to get stronger to the point where he was just easily able to defeat Endeavor in a match, at least when it came on to raw power. Endeavor still went up to Zuko when it came on to technique and experience. Shoto would just watch his adopted brother with contempt. Like, he kind of appreciated that. Well, I don't know how to say it, but basically, Izuku was getting more attention than Shoto. He was taking more beatings from Endeavor than Shoto was nowadays. Which, yeah, Shoto appreciated, but at the same time, Izuku just treated Endeavor like he was a good dad for whatever reason. He didn't understand that, considering just how abusive Endeavor was. He would literally have Izuku fight him every day. Sure, over the years, Izuku got stronger, very, very stronger, but at the same time, that's not how you treat a kid. Like, Izuku was like 10 years old. By the time these two were 10 years old, Izuku was just completely different. His whole his whole aura had changed. He was much calmer, but at the same time, hmm, he was he was honestly a bit of a jerk, to be honest. He was quite a bit of a jerk to Shoto and the rest of his family, and he didn't care. He sees he saw everything he did as just. He knew that he was strong, and he liked that. He knew that he was strong. He knew that he could probably defeat All Might. He he figured he could defeat All Might in like a couple of years or so. But that's basically how I'm going to be ending it off for right now. I'm going to say that this is what happens. Azuku is stronger now. He so far has only unlocked like two of his abilities. He's only aware of his pyrokinesis and his telekinesis. He his hair is basically all white at this point though. And when it comes on to just how he is to all of his adopted family members, he's just a jerk in general. He takes more after Endeavor. He is obsessed with being number one, with being on top. That's how I'm basically going to describe it for right now. I'm hoping this video does good. Anyways, King Titan X out. Actually, no, not King Titan X out. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I am trying to reach like 1,000 subscribers eventually. Let's see if we can make it to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, basically. Let's see if we can make it to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Not only that, but just share these videos, guys, because share these videos. Remember to click the notification bell, and remember to click the notification bell. Remember to subscribe, because like pretty much like 80% of the audience isn't subscribed. And what else? Also, yeah, remember to share and just comment, because I only get like because like every month it's only like 9 people who share my videos, which I appreciate that, but at the same time, can rerun those numbers up though, please. And like if we reach like 1,000 subscribers, that would mean we can unlock the community tab. Therefore, I can be more interactive with you guys afterwards. Anyways, Kuntai next out.